Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And, I get it. With an invisible condition, life can be rough. Life can be tough sometimes. I get it. My life started with brain surgery at 2 weeks old, man. I get it. Invisible conditions can throw you for a loop. The thing is, there is always hope. There can be hope. There's always hope. That's where we like to live here. We like to live in the land of hope. Join us. If it's been a minute, join us, won't you? It's nice here. Hope is good. In fact, I would venture to say if you've lost hope, you're almost dead in the water already, man. You gotta keep that hope alive. So all right. I want to talk about a couple things before we bring on our guests today. And then we have two people here today. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. I want to talk to you about our nonprofit arm of our company, and that's called Hydro with Hope. Now, Hydro with Hope. Oops, there it is. Hydro with Hope is our nonprofit, and it is geared towards working with people and helping people and families that were born with a condition called hydrocephalus. Now you know why we called it Hydro with Hope. That's a long word. And so hydrocephalus requires brain surgery quite often, and that can be a very, very interesting life for a family to have unpredictable brain surgery going on. And so we want to help those families. And we've had some amazing opportunities to do that through our journal that we printed to walk people through that whole process of that journey of, whoa, we're going to have what kind of surgery again, and help the families in that respect. And my wife and I are speakers, and we love to travel the country and just tell stories of hope and have those kind of conversations with people that are honestly struggling. And so, but the thing is, we have more to do than we have funding to do it. And so we would love your help. So if you know anybody that might be interested in being on our board, maybe to help us grow this nonprofit, or if anyone wants to donate, hydrowithhope.com, go for it. Thank you so much. We love you and I'm very excited that you donated. Thank you very much. If you have anybody that you think would be a great person to contribute to our board, just email me, InvisibleCondition@e360tv.com. So would love to do that. Would love to meet anybody that you think would be good for that. So, all right, let's do it. Let's bring on our guest here and get this show on the road here. Jim and Erin Dale are going to be joining us today, and I'm excited for you to meet them. They're a couple with a lifetime of experience in, and lots of credentials to help people with financial and mental health. Okay, because I didn't think about it, but those two really do go together. Like if your financial house isn't in order, your mental health is probably not either, and it can go both ways. And so Erin is a licensed clinical social worker with like 35 years of experience. It's a lot. That's a lot of experience. And Jim, he is a Ramsey certified coach with over 25 years of small business and executive management experience to offer. So, we got a lot to talk about. So together, they understand how easy it is to lose sight of goals and forget your values. So they specialize in helping clients get back on track, whether that's mental health wise, finances wise. It's awesome. I don't know why anybody didn't think of this before. Why has this not been a thing together before? So I'm excited to introduce them to you here. There they are. All right. Hey, Erin, Jen, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate
Hello.
it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. This is good stuff. So I have a question that I like to ask everybody before we kind of dive into the topic for the show. So You can answer it together. I'll leave it up to you. You can answer it together, or you can individually, kind of if each of you have an answer that you want to say. But this is a question I ask everybody on the show. And there's no wrong answer, but it's always fun to hear. So with invisible conditions, there can always be hard days. And whether it's financial, mental, whatever, on those hard days, how do you still maintain hope?
You go first.
Well, I think, like you said, there can always be hard days, but I think there is always that glimmer of hope. And if you keep that in mind, I think that's important. For us, looking back over, we were talking about this earlier today, and how in the span of a little under 2 years, we had lost Jim's dad, and then my mom, and then my dad. Just boom, boom, boom. And they were all older, and we had a little bit of warning, but not so much. Yeah. And I think we relied on each other for hope and for help. I honestly feel like God was kind of keeping an eye on us because it was so difficult. There was just a lot going on. And I look back sometimes and I think, how did we even kind of navigate through that? But you just kind of do. You kind of do what you have to do and think, okay, tomorrow will be better. Today was hard, but we learned something, and tomorrow will be better, and we can move on from that. And I think even like your sign says, Jeff, pray more, worry less. That's a good reminder for me. Because I tend to be a worrywart. And so I think sometimes if I turn it over to a higher power, I think that it really does help. So that's me personally. So Jim can add, or
that's amazing. What you got, Jim?
I'm the finance guy. She's the mental health person in the group, and it's not oil and vinegar. They need to go together, not separate. And in that period of time that she just mentioned, we also had a few health issues. We also had, this was the years of 2009 and 10. People may remember, we suffered just like a lot of other people. And I was not a Ramsey certified coach in that year, or in those years. I didn't even know of the program. And we made the financial mistakes that a lot of people make. And we were in business for ourselves at the time, and we lost that. And in losing it, we also lost a home, and we also went bankrupt. It was an incredible, horrible 2-year period of time, both mentally and financially. But we also had a great deal of experience, and we had each other. And it's like we had an occurrence yesterday where one of us was about ready to go down a rabbit hole, and the other one directed us off into a different direction. And it can be that easy, and it can be that easy to solve those invisible, hidden, tragic conditions that you're suffering in by changing your mindset and changing your, Mr. Ramsey likes to call it changing your family's future, or your family's heritage, and working on that. And that is where they are impeccable at producing planning. And I always used to talk to a group of people that were in the world that was referred to as preppers. You know that group?
Oh, I know that term. Yeah.
And they're an interesting sort. I dabble on their edges, and I always reminded them, because some people would say this is expensive, and I go, planning's free. Making a plan is just your time. Nice. And that part is totally free. There's no expense to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, and it can it can change what you're thinking about. And Erin and I were just speaking before we came on about anxiety and depression are two serious mental health issues that people get locked into, and sometimes it's about, you got to get out of that mindset and go into something that you can do that changes the mindset away from being sad or away from being anxious.
We call it changing the channel.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
I think about too, I have extended family member who was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He's not really, even though he was diagnosed by 2 different psychiatrists, he has not really accepted that diagnosis or
Sure.
learned to work on it with medication and or therapy.
Yeah.
And I think there's some shame around that. And I wish there was. And I try to educate people in mental health that there isn't that kind of shame. You talked about some of your challenges, Jeff, and that's got to be rough. And I always like to say to people kind of that have that, I'm depressed or I'm anxious or whatever the case may be. And it's like, if you had diabetes, you know, you wouldn't ignore it or not get treatment.
Right.
How is that any different? You know, just to normalize that. So there's not that stigma of, oh, I'm sick or I'm crazy and I can't get better. I always have hope for people to get better, you know.
Love it.
So,
Yeah, no, it's true. That's awesome. Good answer. See, told you. There's no wrong answer. That was awesome. That was a good answer. And so, by the way, I have this website here. I also want to put this up here for just a second. So wherever you're watching, if Erin or Jim say something that's like, ooh, light bulb, you know, or what world are they talking about? That can't be right, or whatever, you know, anything that you hear that you want to comment or you have a question for them or anything like that. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, super easy. Just throw a comment in there and we'll get back to you or answer it during the show here, whatever. So, and then also this is their website. So just scan that QR code, go right to the website. What are they going to, I mean, it's got both of them in there, financialmentalhealth.com. What are they going to find? Is there an easy way to contact you guys on there? What else is on there?
Yeah, it is a simple contact form, you know, that every website has. Give us a name and address and a phone number. And if there's anything unique about what we are really as a couple wanting to help other people with, we say it out loud on the website. We're going to get back to you within 24 to 48 hours maximum. We're not going to put you on hold, make you wait forever. You know, we have both in our lives wanted to speak to counselors, for example. And in this world today, it seems like they want to schedule you, you know, about 3 months out. And I'm pretty sure that somebody that would like to speak to a counselor would like to address things probably in the next 24 to 48 hours rather than 3 months out.
Yeah.
As long as we can, we're going to continue and try and do that and try to get back to people. Another piece of our puzzle that we aim to help people with, because there's the financial element. You know, getting on a budget is the one most critical thing that people can do to solve what is often a problem, sometimes a crisis in their lives. And we're not the financial plan, certified financial planner that's going to take a subscription fee for, you know, a year or 2 years to get you on a budget. We'll get you on one in 10 days.
Right.
We'll be done in 10 days. We'll be able to analyze what your income is, what your expenses are, what you need to be looking at and doing and getting it down so that you can understand it and do it quickly. And that's a big piece of what we want to offer people. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've had anxiety over money in my life, and I think most people have. Some people have had depression over money in their life. I told Erin a story a week ago about talking about coming on your show. Mm-hmm. And she didn't remember this or didn't remember that I told her this because it was 33 years ago or 32 years ago. And we're from California, and we travel by car to wonderful places, beautiful places. One of the most beautiful is Carmel, California. A lot of people have heard about it. And it's just, you know, it's a wonderful place to get out of the car and walk around these beautiful little stores and everything else. And it used to make me so depressed that I couldn't afford anything there 32 years ago. And I was dejected, and I was like not wanting to travel there anymore because I couldn't afford that. Yeah. You know? And it never really dawned on me that such a wonderful, beautiful place was making me depressed.
Right.
You know, and you know, it's a lesson learned, you know, right. And, you know, it's like you have to plan for being able to enjoy things at some stage in your life And unfortunately, we're really all caught up in the world of wanting it all right now. Credit companies are very eager to give it to us all right now, and that's a really, really sad way to go.
Right.
There's a much better way to go, and if you just want to plan for it and help make it happen.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, let's dive into a little bit of, we're going to go to a break in about 3-4 minutes, but I just wanted to, I know that the mental part of it and the financial part, I mean, they go hand in hand, right? Like obviously what inspired you to work together on that? I mean, let's talk about that mental aspect of things, because that's where it really starts, for a lot of people.
Right.
So,
well, I think even as early as when that happened, when Jim was talking about that 30 some years ago, where he felt like, oh, I don't want to come back, we can't afford it. And I was like, well, but it's so beautiful and I don't want to stop coming here. What if we could save up for some things that we want to do and make that a reality down the road? Not everybody, I mean, maybe Bill Gates or, Taylor Swift can probably afford anything they want, but most people can't, and they have to save and budget. So Jim's always been kind of the entrepreneur. I've always worked for kind of government, county agencies type of thing. Social worker, as a licensed clinical social worker. And when I was getting to the end of my last place of employment, he was like, hey, I have this idea. And he kind of pitched it to me. Normally I'm like, yeah, that's okay. We'll talk about that later. Like, let's not, And when he pitched it to me, I was like, kind of like you said, Jeff, like, why hasn't anybody thought about this? Like they totally go hand in hand. I mean,
right.
People are stressed out about money. They have a lot of shame and guilt about money, which leads to kind of a spiral of mental health. And I'm not saying that just because your finances are all in order that your mental health will be tip top. You have to work on that too. But if they're both kind of in a good place, they kind of, it's kind of like a couple, like I hope and think that we are, that kind of can bounce things off each other. And it's like, well, that didn't work, but let's try this, So there was, I don't know how you actually came up with the idea. You can talk about that, but I think the business ideas are always kind of percolating in his head. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Well, maybe we'll do that now. Let's do that in the next segment. Like, I want to hear that. So like how, because this is, I mean, yes, obviously finance, everybody knows that finances is a stress issue sometimes in a marriage, in a relationship, in a single person's life. You don't have to be married to be stressed about money. Mm-hmm. But there's also the mental health aspect, which also affects everybody. Like that can affect a mental health crisis can come at any time for anybody for any reason. Everybody's different, So yeah, we'll go to a break right now. And then at the end, and on the other side of the break, I actually have a question that I wanted to ask you too, because of something you said earlier. So we'll dive into that when we come back. Okay. But yeah, everybody stick around. Don't worry. The QR code will be back again, and you can scan it to your heart's content and get on the calendar to see Jim or Erin. And then, so let's do that. And then we will see you in just a couple of minutes. We'll see you soon.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hey, everybody, I want to talk to you just for a second about a free download that we have, and then we're going to get right back to the show. It is called Jeff's Top 10 List of Things to Stay Out of the ER. And now I know that you out there with invisible conditions, you understand how frequent sometimes you have to go to the emergency room Good Lord. Believe me, I've been there, and I've been there more times than I can count. I don't even want to think about it. The thing is, especially with something chronic, it doesn't always have to end with you in the ER. And I know that when there's certain things that hit, you're like, panic sets in and you don't know what to do. And you automatically go to that worst case scenario. This download will help you. I promise. It will help you come back to earth and think through things a little more calmly, a little more rationally, to get you back on track without having to go to that ER, because that can get really pricey really fast. So scan that QR code. There's a little bit of information. I just want just so we can get it to you. There's a little info, and then click through there, and then you get the download. And I can't wait for you to see it. I hope it's helpful to you. It's been helpful to us. And I want to make sure that everybody has it. So thank you very much. Looking forward to getting that to you. And we'll see you back here in just a second.
Hi, this is Clara Capano, your host for Women Winning Their Way, where we talk about how you can create success all on your terms. Join us Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Limelight Network here on E360 TV.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We're here. We're back. Thank you, Jim, Erin, for being here. Appreciate it. As I was talking about that free download, I was thinking to myself, this is pretty timely for today's episode too, because ER visits are not cheap, and that will blow a budget out of the water faster than any missile you could fire at anything else. So, man, even if you have like a health savings account or something, and
they're nerve-wracking too.
Right? Seriously, it is brutal, man. I mean, 4 brain surgeries between 2014 and 2021. We have been to the hospital a few times, and it is expensive every single time. So yeah, if you can stay out of it, great. So, but I wanted to ask you a question when we came back, and you kind of alluded to this, and when we were talking before the show on our first call that we had a little while ago, you said that you guys were opposites, like opposites attract, like opposites always attract, right? Like my wife and I are very opposite. You guys are very opposite. How long have you been married though?
In October, it'll be 32 years.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There's something to that opposites attract thing. Like there's got to be something to it. Like I swear, every time we have something come up in our day or in our marriage or in our, like a discussion or something, it's like, well, I would do it this way. Well, I would do it that way. It's like it blows my mind, because almost every time it's completely opposite. It's hilarious. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So even people with in marriages where opposites have attracted, this still works. So
it does. We're proof.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You still like each other and everything after 30 that many years. It's great.
Yeah. He's okay. Yeah.
Nice. Most days, right? It's not. It can't all be gold, right? But come on.
Try never drive him crazy, but yeah.
Oh, never. Always and never are two things I always remember never to say. See, that's yeah. So just out of curiosity, so for someone who maybe, and I'm sure you've had these phone calls, for someone who feels like super overwhelmed by either their finances or their emotions, or I mean, I'm sure when they come to you, it's probably a little bit of both, right? Mm-hmm. What's like the first thing? What's like, okay, this is step one. We're going to do this.
Go ahead.
I think the big step is when you're overwhelmed, is just kind of be like, all right, let's take a deep breath. Let's look at what our process is. And the first thing that we're going to look at is a very basic budget. What is your income? What do you have everything coming in, even if it's like volunteer, side hustle, main job, what's going out? And that's everything. And that's where individual versus couples can maybe get a little tricky, because sometimes as in the therapy world, we call it like the doorknob statement, when someone's like, oh, by the way, I have a $5,000 balance on my credit card. kind of thing.
Right.
And so
What?
again, we don't want to come from a place of shame or guilt, but we want to be able to like lay it all out on the table. Like, this is going to help you. This is going to help you now and in the future, and even your kids down the road, by gaining that financial freedom, getting out of debt. And that getting out of debt, like, we don't have any debt except for our house. I will say that.
Sure.
But when that last debt payment's paid off, you kind of look at each other and you're like, oh, wow, like high five. It's a great feeling. Like Dave Ramsey does like a, we're out of debt scream, I think they call it. And
the debt-free scream. Yeah.
Right. It's just like if someone comes in to a counseling office and they're like, I'm really depressed. I can't get out of bed, or I have this anxiety issue. It's like, let's start small. Let's just sit and tell me about your day and what's going on. And how can we even do one thing, like go for a 5-minute walk to make you feel better, kind of move that process forward. And so everybody's going to move at a different pace. And you just kind of have to go with where they are. Even though we do have, we set our program up so it's 3 sessions. We do the budget. We meet with them about that. We get all that back, all their expenses. We have those 3 specific sessions set up. However, we realize that some people may need a little bit more, or a check-in down the road. I can see people individually, or couples counseling, or Jim can kind of do a checkup with them on finances, or even like together, the both of us, and kind of do after 6 months, like check in with them. How are things going? How is budget? Because really you need to look at a budget, I would say, we've talked about over 3 months, to kind of really see, like, is my money really where we think it's going, or are there little fly-offs here and there that we weren't kind of aware of? Like our big one, we were shocked at was Starbucks. Oh my, shocked. Like our faces were like,
whoops. Starbucks. I thought it was called $5. I thought it was.
I wish it was
walk out of there without spending at least $5 a person.
So even when we started the process, we were like, wow, and just having even a very easy, simple thing with them, like getting an app on their phone that will track all their expenses, or just simply, I'm a bit like, I have a paper planner. I'm very analog, old school. And even just writing down everything in a notebook, what you spend for a day, for a week, for a month, you'll be amazed what you learn that you didn't really pay attention to,
You know what's really cool? You talk about that debt-free scream. We actually went to I don't know, it was several years ago. It was probably 7 or 8 years ago. My oldest daughter, who's 21 now, but at the time she was just like eyeballs deep into this certain Bible study, and she was like, "Oh man, I want to." And they were doing like a get together with a whole bunch of people doing the same Bible study in Nashville, and so. Where's Ramsey's headquarters? Outside Nashville. And so of course we stopped there and we got to look around, and it was the older building. This was years ago before they built the new Ramsey Solutions building. But it was really cool because they had like the studio in there, and they weren't filming a show at the time, but we got to see somebody do a debt-free scream at the thing. It was really cool. Wow. They had the spot, we have a picture of ourselves, our whole family under the spot where it's like they do the debt-free scream and stuff. It was fun. It's a really cool place. If you've never been there, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a really fun place to go. So yeah. But plus it's Nashville, so it's fun. There's all kinds of cool stuff to do.
Right.
Anyway, that's cool though. So dive into that mental. I kind of want to dive into that mental health aspect of it a little bit, because that is where a lot of people, like you're talking about the shame, you're talking about I'm sure you've had people that have gone down that rabbit hole further than others, right? Sometimes it gets really crazy.
Yeah. For example, and it's interesting because we were talking about too, when we started the business, how, when you go to school for your master's in social work, they don't really have a section on how to talk to clients about money. And you're talking to people about their everyday depression, anxiety, and of course that money can play into it. But it's almost a little bit like high school, how they teach you geometry and calculus, but they don't teach you, at least in my high school, they don't teach you how to balance a checkbook, something very basic. And that really is something that people get through high school, sometimes even college. And I think everybody's different because everyone has had a different upbringing. Their parents handle money way. Either dad does it all, or mom does it all, or nobody deals with it and they just hope they pay bills, so there's people take that with them. And so we even noticed different habits that we had when we got together, like, oh, well, that's that's not how you do it. And it's like, well, who says? So let's create our own way to do it that works for us as a couple and a family, right? And then you've also got issues like I talked about before with bipolar disorder, or if you have obsessive compulsive disorder or gambling addiction, you could be gambling away your family's future and mortgage because of anxiety. And the more anxious you are and the more in debt you are, kind of the deeper you go, kind of down that rabbit hole. And so to catch that in the beginning, hopefully, and be able to say, okay, this is a problem that I have, but it doesn't make me a bad person. It just means it's something I have to be aware of and look at, and be able to say, okay, I notice I'm getting anxious. And when I get anxious, I do XYZ. I go gamble and I spend $2,000. And, a spouse or a partner may not know that. And so, or they may, and it's a big source of contention. And I mean, people are divorced about that. Money's a huge factor when it comes to marriage and divorce and all the in between,
What's funny, I used to work at a bank years and years ago, like 20 years ago. I worked at this bank, and there was a guy that would come in, speaking of talking about casinos and gambling and stuff. I thought to myself too, I was like, God, I don't know if I ever were to go to a casino, because I hear all these stories about people like losing their house because they're, going to the craps table and just gambling it all away or whatever. Well, this guy was awesome. And he would come in, like, he was retired. He had tons of money in the bank. Like, he was doing fine. He was debt free, everything. And so it's no judgment on that, but it was hilarious, because he would come in every Friday and he'd go up to there's a town about an hour away that's got it's a gambling town near where we live. And he would say, he'd take out like $300 or something on a Friday. And he'd go, this is how I keep it under control. I bring my ID, and I put my ID in this pocket, and I put my cash in this pocket, and I put my winnings in the pocket of my ID. And when this pocket over here is empty, I go home, whether I've won anything or not. So he doesn't bring a debit card. He doesn't bring an ATM card to take more money out. He doesn't bring a credit card. He brings cash and his ID. And when the cash is gone, he goes home. That's like, God, that's smart. That's awesome.
And that's really self-control. But the problem comes when you're like, well, wait a minute, I've got this debit card and I can go to this bank over here and withdraw. So that's where you have to watch out for. That's if you can do it and plan it so that.
Well, that's why he doesn't bring the debit card with him. He takes it out of the bank and then brings his ID and the cash. That's it. Right. And he's like, I'm done. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a couple that I was seeing when I was doing my student hours for getting my license, and this couple came in and they were talking, and they seemed like they had a good basis, and they were kind of on the same page with a lot of things, and they wanted to start a family. And the woman, and I don't mean to laugh because it was kind of funny, but she just didn't know. She was like, I still have checks in my checkbook. How are we out of money? Right. And so that look that you don't want to show your client when you're trying to help them and not bring shame, but it's like, wow, somewhere she learned that. Not a great lesson, but somewhere along the way she learned that. And the husband was like, and he's like, see what I'm dealing with? And it's like, okay, well, we can fix this. Like, we can make this better. And so just something simple like that you would never really think of, but that things like that can come up a lot.
I think when we were talking in our initial conversation, I told you about what I did when I was in college. It's one of those things. It's like, I'm afraid to even say it out loud. It was very similar to that, though. It was back in the day, back in the mid 90s when I was in college. And back then you didn't have, I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have, and you couldn't go to the internet and get your balance. So you had to call the bank and get your balance. And I would look at my checkbook register and I would call the bank and I'd say, oh, well, my checkbook register, for instance, says it has $300 in it, but the bank says I had $720 in it. Well, I didn't think that there might be other checks out there that hadn't cleared yet. And so I said, oh, cool. So I would just cross out the 300, write in 720 and spend accordingly. And oh man, that landed me in a lot of trouble. Like, I got calls from the bank a lot when I was in college. And so, everybody can learn. That's my point.
Yes,
exactly. I don't do that anymore. my wife would kill me if I still handled money like I did in college. So,
Right.
but yeah, everybody can learn.
Right.
That's what education is about. So.
Yeah. And what might be basic to one person is something that somebody else hasn't learned. And that's okay.
Right.
That just means you haven't learned it yet. We've
Yeah.
learned a lot, and I'm sure we both still have a ton to learn in this world. It's just life,
Well, there's always something that you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
I mean, there's always something to learn, you're so yeah,
Exactly.
It's true.
Mhm.
Man. Well, so for those of you who are out there and thinking, why are we talking about money again? Like, why? That's such a sensitive subject. Like, why would I let somebody dive into my money, dive into my finances? Like, do you get resistance with that sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the big hangups that people have. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of I don't think it's folklore. I think it's actually real, but half your neighbors are probably struggling.
Yeah.
I think this national statistic is almost 70% of divorces are money related.
Oh yeah, I would not surprised.
And we just before the break, we were getting ready to talk about, how did we get started in this? And it's like, look, the people that are trained by Ramsey, for example, to be coaches are not mental health experts. And Erin had 6 years of education plus her hours and everything else, and even her years of experience. They didn't coach her, train her on monetary issues, on dealing with budgets and family money issues. They're two fields that are, when we first talked, we talked about that circle. They're unrelated and they're going to go round and around.
Yeah.
And yet it seems like nobody's really taught both of those avenues. We've encountered a couple of good counselors that have reached into the financial issues of people and to learn it a little bit. But like our second session of when we get together with people, and this dives into the mental health aspect of it, because when people can begin focusing their lives on values and goals, then all of a sudden they can see some hope. And hope becomes, something that they can latch onto, and it can become a piece of reality that, can hopefully beat anxiety and depression, which is, kind of the two most common things that folks are going to interact with. So it's just a great combination. And I love dealing with budgetary issues and helping see people get wealthy and, change their family tree, as Ramsey calls it.
Yeah.
And she likes helping people get healthy. So it's a good mix in that regard. So
yeah. And even, to be honest, I think, and Jim would tell you too, in the beginning years of our marriage, even, maybe till we started with the Ramsey stuff, there were times it was like, do we have to talk about money again? Can we just watch a movie or something? And now, especially that we're in our business, it's like we talk about it like all the time. Sometimes he'll walk in the door and I'm like, okay, what about the blah, 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 for the money? It's like, we just, and I think it should be that easy. I mean, of course you don't want that to be the only focus,
No.
But I think you don't want, sometimes I think people feel like money shouldn't be talked about. It should just be there and you use it how you need it. Well, okay, that's great. But what if someone loses a job? What if someone has a health condition and they can't work for 2 years? Right. Something like that. So you have to have planning to kind of back up that money should always be there, because we know it doesn't grow on trees, as our parents used to tell us. And so, it's good to have those conversations that are hard until they become easier. And I think it does become easier the more you talk about it. And even if I just plant a little financial and mental health seed that maybe I don't see it grow, but if I know that tree grows for that person or that couple, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. No, I love it. It's true. And I you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stop for a second, because we're going to go to one more break. I promise it'll be short. And then we're going to make the sponsors happy again. And then we'll come back. And then I want to ask you about something on the other side of the break. So everybody stick around. Don't go anywhere. If anybody's heard of the book Millionaire Next Door, I kind of want to ask about that when we come back, because I absolutely love that book. And I feel like I just want to ask a couple things about it, just see what your perspective is. So everybody stick around, and we'll see you soon.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck, on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines, which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Are you a change agent? You're going to love the Superpowers for Good show. I'm Devin Thorpe. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 11 Eastern, I host an inspiring changemaker on Achieve TV. Join us right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Take a breath, man. I was just running during that commercial break because I was looking for the book. I was like, "No, you're next door."
It's right behind you. Nice.
That's cool.
I just ran out of the studio, and I was like, asking my wife, "Where's the book? Do we have that book?" And I was like, I come back, she's like, "I don't know."
Well, I hate to tell you what I did.
There.
I hate to tell you what I did. Because I did remember the book. No, I have to tell them what I did.
Right.
I do remember the book, but I didn't remember the details. So I went to ChatGPT real quick. Give me a synopsis. Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
It's a beautiful thing.
It was the one we thought. Yeah.
It was. So, yeah.
I mean, I love that. I love that concept because it kind of drives me crazy when people like flaunt it and they're like, "Oh, look at what I have," and look at my, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. You're probably not as rich as you appear to be. Like, you're buying stuff you don't need to impress people you don't like, with money you don't have, right? That's
Yeah.
right. So, but Millionaire Next Door is the guy that's wearing a $20 pair of jeans and driving a 10-year-old car and living in a house that's paid for, but it maybe it's 15 years old and maybe 2,000 square feet. He's not in the mansion, right? But he is secure, man. He is financially set.
Yeah.
He will never have to want for anything in his life.
Living below his means.
Like, that's the way to do it,
Yeah.
It's absolutely
like,
And that's hard to remember sometimes. Something, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we as a people, and especially in the United States, we're bombarded with two things, and Ramsey talks about one of them quite often. I think people will be shocked to realize how often they are marketed debt to. How easy it is to borrow money, how easy it is to get into debt and lose your income because you're making payments. And the other one is, obviously goods and sometimes services, but
right.
Stuff you don't need.
Stuff you don't need. Stuff you just want.
Like, some people don't realize how many subscriptions they're paying for on auto withdrawal. It's like how many. I heard somebody. I saw on. It was one of those Facebook Reel ads or whatever. And it was for an app that would detect those and help you like get rid of the and help you get rid of the duplicates and stuff. But they would be talking to people. Like you have 2 subscriptions to Netflix on here. Do you realize that? Like you're paying for it twice. That's dumb. Or just stuff like that. It's the stuff that you don't see. It's that auto withdrawal that's the dangerous part, right? That's
even things like Afterpay. I didn't really know what that was, and there's a planner that I buy every year from this company that I love, and they're in Australia, and they don't offer Afterpay. And I read about that, and it's like you can split up. Let's say your payment is $50. You can split up to $25 payments.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
$12.50. And I was reading in her website about why she doesn't do that. And she's like, we want people's purchases to be considered and not to, be having to chase debt. And I was like, and she got kind of some flack for that, I think. And I was like, good for you. Like, you don't want to have to, if you have to split up a $50 planner purchase in 4 $12.50.
Right. That's
maybe things could shift a little bit. And again, no blame, no shame.
No.
How could you make it so that everything's not credit carded and it's like layaway but with interest probably.
Well, it's like if you can't, if it's like people that whole debate, like, okay, don't send me hate mail, people. All right, listen, don't send me hate mail about what I'm going to say. But the whole tipping thing, right? When you go out to eat, like some people are like, but if you can't go out to eat and pay the bill and give them at least a 20% tip, like you can't afford to go out to eat. You should be, tip them well, man. It's what they do. That's like one of the only industries that I think should have tipping. Like you shouldn't, like, don't tip the guy at, the fast food place. Like, come on, that's not a thing. But at the restaurant where you're sitting down and they're serving you, like if you can't go there and tip well,
sure,
you shouldn't be there.
You should get hate mail for that one.
No.
I do think that
I hope not, but you never know.
We are faced with the conundrum of those that are taking orders at counters now have that, that device right in front of them and they want to say 10, 15, 20% ad for taking an order. And then you're going to stand there and wait for the product and have it come over the counter and that was never something we tipped for when I was young.
No.
And I'm having a hard time wanting to do that now. We actually have one place here in town where we get a sandwich occasionally, and we've been tipping small there, and we feel like we're getting a bad look on somebody's face when we do it.
Yeah. Now I will say we just went and got some food at a place yesterday, and it was do you want to round your purchase up to benefit like the Children's Hospital charity or something in town or whatever like that? I'm okay with that. Like you're asking Children's Hospital. I spent a lot of time there when I was a kid. I'll round up for that, but that's different than, I just handed you your food and didn't do anything beyond that. Tip me 20%, that's different. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, that Millionaire Next Door story is a book that, boy, that'd be a great gift for college student, kids getting out of high school, going into college, kids getting out of college, going into the workforce. I've heard Mr. Ramsey and his people try to tell college students sometimes, look, you're not living on much right now. Why does it have to change you when you get a job?
And it's so easy too. We've done it. It's so easy.
We did our earnings creep or our spending creep on when we started making more over the years, and it's we could even call it a regret. This many years later, we're still fortunate that things turned out good, but it could have been better. He had for lack of a better thing, a mem out there the other day. It's like, saving a certain, I think it was $200 a month in retirement starting at age 20, gets you $1.3 million more than starting at age 30.
Even if I saw a chart one time that said if you start at 18 or 20, I think it was 18 or 20, and just do 20 years, just do I think it was $5,000 a year,
right?
20 years, just for those 20 years and stop at 40.
Yeah.
And you have it in the right investments, it will grow to over $2 million or something in the next 20 years. So you don't even have to drive yourself crazy putting all this money away. You just got to do it right. So
right. And I think people too, even that are maybe say 30 or 40, they may think, well, it's too late for me. Like I didn't start when I was 18 or I didn't put it away. But there just a little bit, it's amazing how much it adds up when you do a spreadsheet and you show it over 5 years, 10 years, you know,
Right.
or if you have a problem spending and you think to yourself, I'll wait 48 hours before I buy that thing, and see, usually that desire for whatever that thing is goes away. Not always, but a lot of times.
Yeah.
So little tips and tricks like, okay, if I can make my coffee at home and put that money in my savings jar, how much would I have at the end of the month? You know?
Right.
So just little tips and tricks. And I don't want people to ever feel like, if you're 60 and you walk through our door, I want to be able to say, look, here's what you have. Here's what your goals and your values are. And here's where you can be in 5 or 10 years. And does that sound doable to you? You know, I think people have to have buy-in, and I don't ever want people to feel like, you know, there's no hope for me. Why bother? You know, because that's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Right. And you have to be ready for it. You can't force anybody to do anything. You can only lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. So
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we got about, I told you this was going to go fast. We have about a minute, maybe 2 left. What would you like to leave with our audience in this last minute or 2?
Well, she's not gonna be happy with this one, but this is a 32-year-old Jim and Erin story. and that is that, you know, Super Bowl Sunday is not meant for doing taxes.
No, it's not.
And that happened in our first year.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we were watching the Super Bowl, I think the first year we were married, and it wasn't really his team or anything. So, you know, tax time was coming up, and I had the organizer, and I was like, what about this? And what about that? And now it's a big joke, like every time Super Bowl rolls around, okay, we're not doing taxes today, are we?
And, you know,
so I was anxious about
that last few seconds. Man, 32 years later, we still get to laugh about that. It's still funny. Yeah. It's still funny on Super Bowl Sunday. And, you know, if you can interject some humor into money talks or into mental health discussions, it can only help. I mean, and you got to be able to laugh. And even when things are really down and you're feeling in the dump, if you can create some humor, man, the internet's full of jokes. Find one.
Totally.
And really we laugh about there's no how am I out of money, I still have checks in the checkbook. There really is not any question or situation too dumb or too small. Everybody starts at a different place, and we're going to help anybody that kind of wants to make that change and wants to move forward and do better and feel better, you know.
That's beautiful. I love it. And I can relate, man. I tell people all the time, I'm trilingual. Sarcasm, movie quotes, and a close third is English. So laughter is a thing in our house. We gotta find humor in something, you know.
You have to.
Hey, thank you so much for being here, man, and getting that perspective out there, and for just giving us an awareness of that, of what you're doing, and just thank you so much.
Thank you. And we want to let you know, I hope it's okay to say, the 5th person that contacts us from the QR code,
nice,
they get free coaching.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, there's 3 sessions.
All right, you heard it, everybody. Scan that QR code before I take it away.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
To be here.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm going to leave that up there then for the next 30 seconds before we're done, and scan away, guys. You know, the 5th person, free, beautiful. So thank you for being here. Thank you. Join us for our next show on Friday, August 29th. And, you know, as far as this show goes, like, subscribe, follow, share, all the things. We love seeing people watching and all the things. So thank you so much for being here, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Till then, have an amazing day. See you soon.